Hi all, how are you guys today? I hope you are good and so on. In this video, we from group 2 of English Psychology class D-1 will discuss the discussions we have made about mindfulness. So please enjoy the video. How did you discover mindfulness? Mindfulness can be understood as being present moment awareness, non-judgmental, friendly. Mindfulness is cultivated by paying close attention to your moment-to-moment experience while, as best as you can. The way to discover mindfulness is to teach yourself how to deal with fear, anxiety, and panic. Mindfulness develops through daily meditation practice. As you develop your mindfulness through meditation, you will find that you can relax and be mindful. In a mindfulness-based approach, guidance is turning to fear, anxiety, and panic as they arise. Mindfulness won't work well if you think of it as a method or a technique and only use it when fear, anxiety, or panic comes up and bothers you. Mindfulness becomes a way of life when you ground it. People have systematically cultivated this quality through meditation for thousands of years. Historically, the goal has been to enhance spiritual practice and assist in achieving higher meaning in life. Lynn Freeman pointed out in Mosby's Complementary and Alternative Medicine that despite thousands of years of human experience with meditation, it has only been in the last 25 years that meditation has been researched as a medical intervention in Western cultures. According to Freeman and Lawless, this research has focused on 4 separate forms of meditation: transcendental meditation, respiratory one method, clinically standardized meditation, and mindfulness meditation. Freeman notes that mindfulness meditation differs significantly from the other 3, in that the first 3 are all essentially concentrative techniques that instruct the meditator to focus attention on a single object, such as a breath or a sound. Mindfulness is a non-concentrative technique in which the person widens his or her consciousness to include the observation in a non-judgmental way of his or her mental activities and thoughts.
The pace of things. The average person today is exposed to more information in one day than someone in the 15th century. Today, we are bombarded with tons of information. That's why we are forced to multitask. Unfortunately, multitasking is a myth. Multitasking will only make things worse and have negative effects. The human brain doesn't work in parallel. It works by processing information one bit after another. So, when we think we are multitasking, we are actually attention switching between 2 or more tasks. When we switch our attention, the attentional system in the brain goes temporarily offline. This happens for half a second. In the process, we miss any information presented to us at the moment without realizing it. The points above have been proven by many journals. Among psychologists, there is a phenomenon called switching costs. Switching costs are the cost of time lost when the cognitive switches from one task to another. The brain takes a moment to fully pay attention to the task. I agree with Richard Chambers' statement that multitasking is a myth. The reality of multitasking is task switching. This happens because the way multitasking works in the human brain is very complex. Humans pay attention to the task with the help of the brain's prefrontal cortex. This includes both the right and left sides of the brain. The brain's prefrontal cortex works by coordinating with other neurological areas to complete the task. When charged with a single task, the right and left sides of the brain merge and work in conjunction. However, when charged with two or more tasks, the two sides are forced to dissociate and perform tasks simultaneously. That's why the capacity of the human brain is limited to the point where it is unable to multitask.
The problem with multitasking. People who multitask think that it will help them. In fact, multitasking is less effective and makes us unhappy. In my opinion, I also agree that multitasking is ineffective. Why? Because multitasking only makes the job longer to complete, makes us more tired, and the work we do will not produce optimal results. In addition, when we multitask, we actually slow ourselves down to do something and can create stress on ourselves. The age interval for people who are most affected by mental health issues is 15 to 25 years. In 2020, depression has even become a rife mental health issue. This is in accordance with the findings of Carrier, Cheever, Rosen, Benitez, and Cheng 2009 with a sample of more than 1,300 people from Southern California, which state that younger people are more likely to do daily multitasking than older people. Not infrequently, young people who have mental health problems choose to end their lives, causing suicide rates to increase. That is why suicide is the biggest killer of youth. There is a study conducted by Rosen, Lim, Carrier, and Cheever 2011 to students who bring handphones to school or university. In this study, students who brought their handphones into the classroom and left their handphones on vibrate mode. When the researcher tried to send a message to the student for 30 minutes during the class was running, the result of study found that there were so many messages that came in and came out of the students' handphones beyond the message sent by the researcher. This proves that there were some external disturbance during the class.
What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is when our whole body and mind are in the same place. At that time, we fully pay attention to the moments that happen to us. When we practice mindfulness, we will realize that we will be most productive at that time. I agree with this opinion because mindfulness means that we have fully applied our attention to one thing. Not only that, attention also means we can manage to ignore the distractions around us so that the work we face will be completed more perfectly. Mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness can also be trained. This practice is called mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation is a mindfulness practice that keeps us focused on one thing in front of us. In fact, we can 100% focus while studying or working. Even based on reports from Microsoft, humans can only really focus on one thing for 8 seconds. But with mindfulness meditation, we learn to recognize when our attention is divided and quickly return it. And if we practice it, then we will get better at focusing attention. According to David and Hayes, mindfulness meditation combines meditation and mindfulness practices, which can be defined as a mental state that supports full focus on the now, so that one can recognize and accept thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. Related to attention, mindfulness meditation plays a role in focusing attention on one thing. So, it is true that if mindfulness meditation is done consistently, a person's attentional ability can increase. Mindfulness education. We can apply mindfulness meditation in learning. Neuroscience has been proven that mindfulness meditation can strengthen the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, which play an important role in attention and memory. Apart from that, this exercise also reduces the activity of the amygdala, which is the center of fear, so that we can feel calmer. So, that's why mindfulness is needed in education. It is true that mindfulness is important in education. The result of other studies also show that children with mindful conditions have good language and math skills. Mindfulness meditation has been shown to improve activity of the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex on the right and the anterior insula on the left. The dorsolateral prefrontal cortex is involved in working memory, abstract reasoning, planning, cognitive flexibility, and attention control, while the anterior insula is associated with attention and awareness.
Mindfulness in medicine. Mindfulness can be seen as a universal human skill proposed to promote clear thinking, and an open mind is not required. The mechanism of mindfulness in medicine is that students can actually learn from their own experiences and actually listen when patients speak, putting aside ideas of good, bad, right, and wrong. There are many ways that mindfulness can influence our susceptibility and ability to recover from injury and illness. This may include reduced awareness of pain severity, improved ability to tolerate pain and disability, reduced stress, anxiety, and depression. Most of these possibilities have not been rigorously tested. Nevertheless, psychologically, stress is associated with many diseases. There is a study in 1982 Kabat-Zinn reported descriptive data on medical patients with chronic pain lasting 6 months to 48 years who were trained in mindfulness-based stress reduction. Among her 51 participants, her 88% of all 58 participants who completed the program, there was a significant reduction in pain perception during the procedure, half of whom had at least a 50% reduction. Reported in study of 109 patients aged 27 to 75 years with various types of cancer, and found a 65% improvement in mindfulness. 31% of her experienced stress symptoms with this disorder. Some have found positive effect of mindfulness training on pain reception, severity of common medical symptoms, physical function, and ability to cope with daily life. In my opinion, mindfulness in medicine is needed because mindfulness is a potential means of disease prevention and treatment, improves coping with pain and chronic illness, reduce patient and physician stress, increase compassion, improve quality of care, and reduce medical errors. Mindfulness helps doctors listen more carefully to their patients, show more compassion, and approach problems in a fresh, open-minded way.
What is mindfulness in school? Over the last decade, the cultivation of mindfulness has become a common part of the curriculum in classrooms around the world. A recent survey indicates that nearly 50% of teachers are sharing mindfulness with children. To date, researchers have predominantly used outcome-based trial design to understand the practice efficacy for improving wellness in children. Less research has been directed toward understanding how children perceive mindfulness experience. This gap inspired the research questions: what are student perspectives of learning mindfulness practice at school? Thematic analysis was employed to understand and interpret 38 elementary school student mindfulness journal. Findings suggest that mindfulness enhances student well-being and help children develop a greater awareness of their body, mind, and emotion. Implications of this finding are discussed. Future research is required to determine how mindfulness practice enhances and sustains student well-being and learning. Return of investment. Global conservation need for exceed the available resources, so scarce resources must be used cost effectively. Although many conservation prioritizing framework used by NGO or public agencies explicitly claim to emphasize efficiency or wise investment, not actually incorporate cost in a formal return on investment or ROI framework. We illustrate here how an ROI framework can be applied to real-world resources allocation decision faced by conservation organization. We present two examples. 1. Allocating resources to purchase land in 21 ecoregion that makes up the temperate forest habitat in the US. Second, allocating resources among a variety of conservation action, not just land purchase, in Mediterranean habitat, with rates of habitat loss factored into the analysis.
Hi all, how are you guys today? I hope you are good and so on. In this video, we from Group 2 of English Psychology class D1 will discuss